This is Just Ask George, exploring the universe of corporate finance and capital formation for your business enterprise, with merchant banker George Lovato Jr. and your host, David Wolf. Hi there, welcome back to Just Ask George. David Wolf here, the co-dude here with the head dude, George Lovato Jr. Georgie, good to see you again.
Give me a pound. It's Friday one more time and a special show.
A very happy Friday, and we love these. And it is a very special show.
Yes,
on a few levels. It's good to be back with you anyway. But we have a very special announcement that's forthcoming.
Yeah. And also, along with that, we get to have a very good friend, an old friend on the show again. So we're kind of excited about that. Our big announcement is that Philippe, our long-standing buddy, pal, mentor, guide, and soothsayer, has joined BH Capital. We made a special place for him in the organization. And, it's been some time coming, trying to persuade him to come over to our side. And we did that, and it's we're really excited about it on many levels. Let me just say that the reason that we sort of created this special place for Philippe is because, affiliates, as a general rule, they generate business. They're out there scanning the horizon. They're looking at new and exciting transactions all the time. And so they bring those in. But in this case, not only does Philippe do that as a regular course of his business, but he also has the same type, if not a much higher level of connectivity to Wall Street and some of the more notable firms, some of which we've talked about on this show previously with him. So, so it's really, there's more conductivity. All right, if you want to call it that. That's the big difference.
Okay.
And so we've been spending the weeks. He has been an absolute machine, almost on a daily basis, of submitting potential new clients. And we've also been sort of familiarizing him with our policy and procedures and getting him embedded. And then now with this show and this announcement, we're getting ready to really put together a very comprehensive outbound marketing campaign to tell the world about Philippe, even more so than we have in the past.
Yeah, I mean, this is a man that has really seen all facets of high finance and presents a whole new range of opportunities, not only connectivity to capital, but also from the standpoint of the advantages now for our clients to have access to this kind of capital, intellectual capital. We'll find out more about that as we move forward.
And I think that's really the takeaway for our listeners out there, is that this is a man that has worked in the Fortune 100, Fortune 500 environment and very, very, very high levels of management, with very high level working with, directly for, and next to high levels of management in that space. And now that talent is available to small, medium, and large-sized businesses.
Exactly.
That's really the punchline that we want to tell our listeners about today. But why don't we get him on the show?
Absolutely. So,
no further ado.
With no further ado,
Philippe de la Chappelle. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing very well, guys. Thank you for having me and hosting me for this very special occasion. I'm delighted to join the team.
Absolutely.
We're going to do this on a regular basis, so you better get really familiar with Skype and your own lighting gig that you got going on there. You look really good today.
Well, I have to tell you guys, some of us don't need all those extra fluff pieces to look good. Some of us can just go out there and be there, remember?
I'm actually 770 pounds, and when Steve gets done, he brings me down to my 275. I pay him so many dollars per pound.
It's amazing what they do with post-production. We like to think we have a good voice for radio, or a good face for radio.
Yeah. It looks like a Mr. Universe contest out there on my screen, guys. I don't know what you've done, but whatever it is, I need to try some.
Great, great. Listen, let's kind of run through this. We've talked on and off about sort of this format, and I just thought maybe it'd be nice to open with you, hearing it from you, and telling our audience out there, start from Georgetown Law School and bring us forward.
Well, I don't know if my short-term memory allows me to take me back that far, but I'll give it a shot. When I graduated from Georgetown Law, I decided that I wanted to be involved directly with operating situations, down-to-earth situations, not going into the back room of law firms and doing all that research, but rather doing it in a context where my decisions and my analyses would actually produce operating results directly to the executives in place. So I started off with a company called W.R. Grace. W.R. Grace had a long history of working not only in the U.S., in Europe, but also in Latin America. Some of your listeners may remember Graceline, which is a famous operation that they owned, where they would take passengers and what have you down to Latin America and come back with produce from Latin America. So that was a very attractive business for many, many years. And I had the pleasure of working with the CEO of that company, the CFO, and a few others. After that, I joined Warner Communications, which is now Time Warner. And we owned a lot of different businesses in the media field, not only in cable, TV, but also music. They also owned a lot of different subsidiaries all over the world. So when I was at Warner Communications, I happened to travel with the CEO, CFO to many of the operating companies and understanding what they were each doing in their local situations and trying to improve their results, if you will. After that, I was a general counsel at MasterCard and worked in the financial industry, working with developing the MasterCard brand all over the world. I also had occasion to work with Norton Simon, which owned Avis, Canada Dry, and a few other those consumer goods companies. That was a very exciting time. My most recent corporate experience was working with Warnaco, which, as you know, is a major apparel company with the likes of Calvin Klein and what have you. Working with, again, this CEO, CFO, to address some of the issues that they faced, not only in this country, but around the world. So that's a 30,000 snapshot view of my career.
That's something. Over the years in working with you, I've found that you have a very fluid way that you network. And so can you tell us, has that changed for you in terms of your methodology, say, in the past 10 years?
Yeah, most recently, I've been with a financial services boutique, an small investment bank, and the name of that small investment bank doesn't necessarily attract the types of clients that I would like to deal with. And so what I've done is to concentrate my efforts on working with what I consider to be the trusted advisors, the senior law firms, the senior accounting firm members, the family offices, et cetera, that actually are what we call the trusted advisor to many privately owned companies. And that is a networking skill that I have developed over the years as an originator of transactions. So I'm often able to identify board members, legal counsel, advisor members, et cetera, of a particular industry to try and ferret out some opportunities for a client.
And, over the years, would you have a profile of a perfect client? What makes a client a good client in your mind?
One that is focused, driven, and understands the implications of their decision making. My role has always been the person who gives the CEO, CFO, the reality check. So if there's someone that's responsive and that understands what the consequences are of a particular decision, good or bad, it's their company. They make the decision. I'm there to implement and help implement a business decision and looking for a resolution that will meet the client's objectives. That's my chief role. And I do that by virtue of the vast general experience that I've had. I enumerated some of the major Fortune 100, 500 companies that I've been fortunate to affiliate with. And I've had, as a result of that, become a generalist. I'm involved with many different types of companies. And I understand that your viewers are involved in also all kinds of different companies and are looking for possible solutions for their objectives. And I'm delighted to be able to contribute what I can in appropriate circumstances to your viewers.
Being able to offer that experience, that level of expertise, and obviously being able to see the horizon of over a period of time, changes in industry. What do you want to focus on in terms of the types of businesses or industries or transactions, for that matter? Where do you want to position yourself now?
Well, as I mentioned, because of the multitude of companies that I've worked with and their different businesses, I have been privileged to work in many different industries and understand the problems of a variety of different industries. So I view myself as a generalist. I don't want to pigeonhole myself into a certain limited arena. I want to be able to function in many different arenas. And I have the background, I believe, to be able to produce some results in those industries.
I find that to be unique, to be able to offer that broad an aperture, that wide an aperture.
Yeah, it's such a wonderful fit for the aperture that we see on the inbound side. And it's just, what a wealth of resources. And again, this capital, this intellectual capital that Philippe brings to the process of capital formation.
Pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I've always described you as my mentor. And, in a lot of ways, in the position that BH Capital engages with its clients, we, in a lot of cases, we're doing a lot of teaching. We're actually educating the client on many aspects of corporate finance as we go along. And I've always said you've been my mentor. Who have been your mentors, and what have been some of the important things that you've taken away from those experiences that maybe you can pass on to your upcoming clients?
Well, I would say that one of the first mentors when I graduated from Georgetown Law was the general counsel at W.R. Grace. He asked me on the first day there, when I literally had not yet received a key to all the facilities, to look at a major problem. And I looked at it, and he asked me when I would have a response. I told him I'd work on it right away. He said, okay, I'll see you in the morning, have it then. So I stayed all night, worked at it, and came back to him the next day and gave my response. And he pointed out that I was the only person on his team that felt that way. And I asked him, well, I don't have a key to the office, so I guess now I won't need one, assuming that he showed the door just about then. But he said, he indicated the only other person that agreed with him was me. So that I basically took that as follow your good sense and understand what's right, what's fair. You're also representing a client, but you're doing it in a reality check. And if you can do that in a reality check and come up with an answer that makes a lot of sense based on all the training you've had, all the education you've had, I think that was my first real experience. And the last one I've been involved with, involved with very creative CEOs in terms of different industries. But the last mentor I had was probably the folks at Warnaco. They had a way of proceeding which was really very short and direct. And it was called Do It Now. In other words, if your viewers out there have a project in mind, something has come up that they want to explore, they should pick up the phone, get a hold of BH Capital, and if I'm available, I'm happy to function with them. But address the issue now. Don't wait until tomorrow or the next day when something can happen. Things may change. Why not seize the initiative and address whatever it is that you're thinking about doing? And that's just, however they communicate with you, George, let them do that. And if I'm able to help them to resolve those issues and come up with some ideas, I'm pleased to do it. And so those words, those 3 words, do it now. If people are listening to us right now, put that on their wall, have a little sign, do it now. You'd be amazed at the kinds of results you get, because there's so many distractions that come up immediately after a wonderful thought occurs to you. I mean, sure, you should sit down and think about it, decide what it is that you want to do. But if you have a passion and a desire to, in fact, get something done, then call somebody, get to your trusted advisor, get to George and say, here, I've got a situation, I'd like to explore it, here's why. And then let us then try and see if we can't collaboratively work with you to implement what it is you're trying to accomplish.
Fantastic.
That's so cool. And
that is neat.
It speaks so much to the process I know that you engage in with our clients, because it's so many times it's about focusing that CEO or CFO into a do-it-now framework.
Absolutely.
The other thing that comes to mind that Philippe is sort of highlighting is the cost of waiting on an idea you had, allowing yourself to be distracted by operational distractions, by other energies from the external world. You got to just jump on it. And
we just had, we sent out that email on the cost of waiting, which plugs right into Do It Now.
Love it.
And then this week, I talked to, I think I mentioned to you, I talked to an individual that contacted me 2 years ago. And he said, well, I'm going to do it myself. If you can do it, I can, it was that kind of thinking. If you can do it, I could do it. So another year went by, and I ran into him inadvertently, and I said, how's that working out for you? He said, well, I'm still trying to figure out this whole capital formation thing.
Sure.
And so this week he calls, and he says, I really need to get started. I better do it now.
That's right. And Philippe, you'll find that he also framed it as a battle between, almost an ego-based battle within himself about, I couldn't figure it out myself, so I'm giving in.
Yeah.
And so many CEOs, it takes ego to do a business,
it really does.
But they need to know when they need help from the external.
But I think those 3 very simple words really sort of, it says it all.
Yep.
We're gonna tie a bow on this now, Philippe, and so I think the best way to do that is for you to sort of predict the future for us and tell us what you see coming, both economically, what's happening in our economy, where do you think we're headed, and then where does that fit in with our plan and sort of our model and our box of tools, and now our new added box of experience and expertise with you on board and you as part of the team. So where is that strategy headed? What do we see coming?
There is a tremendous amount of cash available, both in by strategic companies. Major companies have a lot of cash. Also, private equity firms have a lot of cash. Family offices have a lot of cash. They need to deploy that cash. They need to employ that cash into projects. So the key here is to find those transactions that your viewers are really very impressed with, think they can do very well with, make a lot of money off, and the cash is available. It's out there. So I think from a point of view of your viewers, the small to mid-sized enterprises, I think there's some tremendous opportunities to tap into a lot of that cash that's out there waiting to be deployed. And remember, if it's not deployed for a lot of these firms, the private equity firms in particular, they have to redeem that cash. They have to send it back to their investors. And that's the last thing they want to do. So they are looking, they're very actively looking. And you should be creative about that. You should think about what I can do to develop my business, grow my business. If I don't want to grow it, if I don't want to do something with it, then perhaps it's time to put it on the market and do it intelligently, in total confidence, to make sure that I can then generate the cash for myself as an owner and see what happens. I mean, why not do that? In other words, the economy, gentlemen, is not standing still. You are in a current right now, not only in the U.S., but obviously with what's happening on the world markets. So you have to, at all times, be conscious of the status of your company. And that depends on a number of things. It depends on what's happening with the economy, with your company, what happens with your health, what happens with your succession plans, what happens with all kinds of things that are around you. You are not in a vacuum. And what I'd like to tell people, and empathy is my big source of introduction. I'd like to put myself in the shoes of an owner. And after an owner speaks to me about what they would like to do, I'd like to put myself on that side of the table and say, okay, let's think it through. Does that work? How can we help you get there? So I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you what's going to happen tomorrow with the stock market. All I can tell you is that I know what's happening today. I know that if you have a viable company and solid management, you have something that obviously is attractive to a lot of different sources of capital, depending on what you want to do. If your children don't want to stay in the company, if there's a divorce or health situation, you should address that. You should keep the reins of your company very firmly in your grip. You've worked your tail off, excuse the expression, to build up this company of yours, and you should then decide what you want done with it for the best interests, not only of you, your family, but also of your employees and the company. That's my words of wisdom.
Beautiful.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, thanks for coming on the show. This is one of many to come. I know you've been working with our director-producer, Steve, on getting connected via Skype and being able to dial us in. So now we can do this on a regular basis. And this has been a great show, pal, and welcome aboard. We've worked together and become good friends, love one another as pals do over the years, and it's good to be shoulder to shoulder with you going forward and developing business and new clients. And I'm having the cards printed now that say partner on there, and then on the back side there is a little thing you fill in so that it will actually be redeemed for cocktails 3 times a week at the place of your choice, because God knows with the people we work with, we need a little medication once in a while.
Well said, George.
Well, listen, I'm delighted to be able to work with you in any capacity. You know that I've got my company, GAD Partners LLC. I'm going to be working through that company for any number of reasons. But I'm delighted to be affiliated with you because I've known you for, over 25 years now? Yeah. And you haven't changed a bit. You still look the same. And you are one of my best pals. So I'm delighted to have an opportunity to collaborate with you and your enterprise. And you can call on me anytime. You know that.
Fine. Thanks, pal.
Thanks so much for joining us on the program, Philippe. Great to see you again. We are bhcapitalltd.com. George, as always,
another great
very groovy,
show.
Extra groovy.
Extra
thanks
groovy
again
show.
to Philippe. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
For more information about George Lovato Jr. and BH Capital, visit bhcapitalltd.com. Check out more episodes of Just Ask George at justaskgeorgeradio.com. Just Ask George is produced by Steve Garth and is a production of BH Capital, Ltd. All rights reserved.